This is how a narcissist's arrogance leads to their downfall. Hey everyone, good to have you back on the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're diving into a topic that's all about how narcissists push things too far. If you're enjoying the discussion, don't forget to show some love by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Alright, let's break it down. When we talk about overplaying your hand, we're basically saying you're pushing the boundaries so hard that something's bound to snap. And when we're talking about narcissists, they're pros at this game. They keep pushing until relationships shatter, until people are left questioning reality. Their whole deal is to disrupt your vibe, wreck relationships, and keep cycling through new sources of attention like it's a revolving door. And here's the kicker. They don't change. They're stuck in this loop, constantly overplaying their hand without even realizing it sometimes. See, when a relationship hits its breaking point, the narcissist often hits the eject button. They'll cut ties without a second thought, leaving you in the dust with no closure, no explanation. Why? Because they want you stuck, pining for them, while they move on scot-free. It's all part of their twisted game. Alright, let's dive into another layer of this twisted game. Sometimes, the narcissist flips the script and makes it seem like you were the one ending the relationship when, in reality, it was all part of their master plan. It's what we call the reverse discard. They push you to your limit until you're the one throwing the towel, and then they play the victim with their new target, painting you as the bad guy who walked away. It's like peeling back layers of an onion, right? The depths of the manipulation and abuse in these narcissistic cycles can be mind-boggling for those who haven't been through it themselves. But let me tell you, these people are out there, and they're playing a game you never even knew existed. And you know what's wild? They always push it too far. Think back to your time with them. Remember the toxicity, the verbal attacks, the financial and emotional abuse. Remember those nights waiting for them to come home, the unanswered texts, the excuses they always had at the ready. They pushed and pushed until something broke, until they showed their true colors and revealed just how little they cared about you, or anyone else for that matter. It's a sick game, but sadly, it's one they're all too good at playing. Remember, when you were in the thick of it with the narcissist, you didn't have a clue what was really going on. Narcissism sounded like just a fancy word for admiring yourself in the mirror, right? But it's way more sinister than that. It's about someone pretending to be everything you want in a partner, kind, loving, stable, while secretly tearing you down behind your back. They know exactly how to manipulate a relationship, how to keep you hooked in their web of lies. You were caught in that web, stuck in the devaluation stage without even realizing it. Gaslighting, blame shifting, triangulation. You didn't have a clue about any of that back then. But now, as you piece together the puzzle, you see the truth. The narcissist played you like a fiddle, pushing you to your breaking point without a second thought. But now, armed with knowledge, you're breaking free from their grasp and seeing them for who they truly are. Let's take a step back and think about all the ways you supported the narcissist during your relationship with them. Did you provide a place for them to stay? Most likely. Did you cover their bills? Chances are you did. Did you raise children together, trying your best to give them a good life? Perhaps. Did you start a business venture with them? It's possible. Did you introduce them to your friends, family, and social circles? Almost certainly. Did you share your hobbies and interests with them, like skiing or surfing? Probably. As you opened up your life to them, the narcissist was carefully taking mental notes, figuring out how to get closer to you and undermine your connections. They wanted to isolate you, control your finances, and strip away your independence. Why? Because they're takers, plain and simple. They thrive on exploiting others for their own gain, always craving more without ever giving back. They're empty inside, seeking fulfillment through manipulation and control. And they'll do whatever it takes to keep you trapped in their web of deceit. Escaping the fog of narcissism can feel like finding a needle in a haystack. When you're constantly undervalued and mistreated, it's tough to see the way out, especially when you're not familiar with the cycle of narcissistic abuse. You're left tossing and turning at night, putting up with behavior that just keeps getting worse. And where's the narcissist in all this? probably not around as much as before. Off gallivanting with their new supply or spinning tales about their sudden disappearances. They're masters of manipulation, painting whatever narrative suits them best. Whether it's crafting a flawless facade or launching a smear campaign against you, they'll do whatever it takes to maintain control. This is the same game they played when they first met you, when you were in the relationship, and possibly even now, if you've recently parted ways and find yourself at the receiving end of their lies and manipulation. For those of us who've been through the arena, who've healed from toxic relationships that ended long ago, we've learned a thing or two. Like how to deal with a smear campaign. It's like a fire that eventually burns itself out. Those who gobble up the narcissist's lies. Well, they're often not the most wholesome bunch themselves. Plus, most folks eventually see through the smoke and mirrors and realize it was all a load of hogwash. Sure, there might have been drama back then, but people move on. Life's too short to dwell on ancient history. Take a scenario where you got tossed to the curb years ago. You picked yourself up, dusted yourself off, and got back on track. And you know what you didn't do? You didn't fuel the gossip machine by engaging with their smear campaign. Nope, you stayed silent, letting it fizzle out on its own. Smart move. Why breathe life into something that's better left to wither away? And then, as I've been saying, the narcissist inevitably hops into another relationship, only for it to crash and burn. Why? Because they can't help but overplay their hand. All those folks who were once cheering them on. Well, they'll see another failed romance, just like the last one. What's the common thread in all these train wrecks? Yep, you guessed it, the narcissist. It wasn't you. That's why these types always have a lineup of new people in their lives, not just lovers, but friends, co-workers, you name it. They'd flit through life like secret agents, hiding behind masks. They switch out like costumes at a costume party. And when they're done with someone, off goes the mask. That's why they're always on edge, always needing validation, always glued to their phones. When someone figures them out and cuts them off, it's like a punch to the gut for the narcissist. Blocking them. That's a power move, my friend. You're taking control of your life, deciding who gets a seat at your table. And if you haven't cut ties yet, ask yourself why not. When the narcissist catches wind that you've gone no contact and blocked them, they're going to do a double take. They were probably counting on you sticking around with their twisted games, thinking they could keep pulling your strings. But when you finally have that aha moment and decide to cut them off, they're left scratching their heads. They never saw it coming because they underestimated your strength. They mistook your kindness for weakness, your love for vulnerability. They thought they had you wrapped around their finger. But here's the real kicker. It's us, the empaths, who are the strong ones. That's why the narcissists targeted us in the first place. They prey on our empathy, using it to their advantage. But deep down, they're empty shells. They can't feel what we feel. They can't love like we do. They're just playing a role, wearing masks to manipulate and deceive. But once you see through their act, once you break free from their grasp, that's when you show your true strength. Remember all those times in the relationship when you were bombarded with rage, verbal attacks, and gaslighting. Those were the narcissist's twisted tactics to not only break you down, but also to see just how much you'd endure. They were testing the waters, testing your limits, seeing if you buckle under the pressure. Whether your relationship lasted a minute or a year, it was too long to endure such toxicity. I'm bringing all this up because everyone in our community has been through the ringer of narcissistic abuse. Some of us have reached a point of indifference, where the narcissist's antics no longer affect us. Others are on the journey there, while some are just starting out. Wherever you are on that path, it's crucial to realize that none of what happened was your fault. You gave your all to that relationship, poured your heart and soul into making it work. But the narcissist, they were playing games, manipulating, lying and spreading lies about you. They promised one thing and delivered the opposite. In that relationship, you were nothing but a pawn in their twisted game. A puppet they could manipulate at will. They were always testing the limits, always pushing things too far. Now here's something to ponder before we wrap up. I've mentioned it before, but it's worth repeating. The hoover. It's when the narcissist tries to reel you back in. whether it's for a day, a week, or even a lifetime. But accepting a hoover is like admitting you're not strong enough to say no, and trust me, no is the strongest word out there. Some folks cave into the hoover time and time again, only to realize they're stuck in the same cycle of hurt and discard. But why does the narcissist do this? Because they're weak themselves, and they're testing to see if you've grown strong enough to break free. That's why they crave people like you, empaths who can give them what they need. They needed you once, but not anymore. It's time to stand your ground and say no to the hoover. Once you've healed from that mess, you can't just forget it all. The narcissist crossed the line, and the relationship shattered. It might have happened recently, or it could have been ages ago. But whenever it was, the narcissist didn't shed a tear for you. They just moved on to their next target, leaving you to pick up the pieces. But what did you do? You took time to heal. You slowed down, leaned on your support system, and educated yourself about narcissism. That's how you put yourself back together. Now you've got boundaries, and you're not bending over backward to please anyone. That's progress. We're moving forward, not backward. We're living in the here and now, not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We've learned from our experiences with the narcissist, and we're applying those lessons to our lives today. Because we know one thing for sure, the narcissist always pushes it too far, and they always will. So, as we wrap up, think about this. Even if you had all the riches in the world, the narcissist would still want more. They're always chasing what they can't have. It's like they're on a constant hunt for the next shiny thing. And at one point, that was you, and maybe it was me too. Anyway, that's a wrap for today's video. No matter where you are in the world, know this. You're not alone. Remember that. Bless you all. I love each and every one of you. I'll catch you again tomorrow. And keep this in mind. Narcissists deliberately break relationships. They always push it too far. They never reflect on their actions, never apologize, and they're not sorry for what they've done. That's why they're stuck in their cycle. But you're out of it now, and you'll stay out for good. Take care, everyone.